Hey y'all, my name is Sarah Morgan, and I will be talking and presenting about Mount Saint Helens eruption from 1980. So, when and where this occurred on Mount Saint Helens, the mountain in Washington State in the northwestern part of the United States, and the initial eruption occurred on May 18th, 1980, in the early morning around 8:30 a.m. What caused the initial eruption were a series of earthquakes from about mid-March to mid-May in 1980, which then caused a bulge in the side of the mountain to form and grow. And this bulge allowed for the removal of the cryptodome, which resulted in the May 18th, 1980 devastating eruption. This also served as a precursor for scientists and geologists to warn citizens in the surrounding areas to evacuate and heed caution for this eruption. The effects of the Mount Saint Helens eruption were that there were 57 people killed, where 27 bodies were never found. This also affected a 230 square mile radius around the mountain, and ash and debris was collected in distant states like Minnesota, so all across the United States. And after the eruption, people had to work to remove about 900,000 tons of ash from roadways and public areas. In addition to this, in 1982, the government set aside 110,000 acres to remember those lost in the eruption and allow for the earth to grow back and repair itself naturally within the National Volcanic Monument. This allowed for the government to step in and implement tactics to promote healthy and safe living around Mount Saint Helens and allow for the earth to grow back naturally and repair itself without harmful effects of others. The environmental impact of Mount Saint Helens was that the landscape was changed as the elevation of the mountain changed from 9,600 square feet high to 8,300 feet high. So the elevation changed. The melting ice from the mountain glacier caused a mudslide and took thousands of homes from the surrounding areas. So that affected the mountainside. Ash clouded the skies and affected the weather for several weeks. Thousands of trees burned down. In the wildlife, they lost about 7,000 large mammals like deer and bears. And in addition to this, they also lost many smaller animals like birds and insects. Continuing on with the environmental impact, at the eruption of the volcano, rocks, ash, gas, and ice erupted out from the mountain and spewed out all across the mountainside. Places like the Toutle River was covered in 150 feet worth of debris for 14 miles, and which had to be repaired by the earth and environmentalists. Ash was also spread across the northwestern part of the United States and across the Pacific, which later caused local citizens to have to clean up after the eruption. Ultimately, this involved Earth systems like the biosphere, atmosphere, and geosphere, causing people to help clean up and after the effects of this eruption. One fun fact, Harry Truman, who has no relation to President Truman, was stubborn and did not listen to the advice of volcanic professionals and remained at his home near the site of the eruption. He later died in the devastating volcano and was later not able to be found. He is now an icon for Mount Saint Helens, as he was adamant about remaining in his cabin for the duration of volcanic warnings, and serves as an example to urge citizens to listen to the advice of geologic professionals. Another fun fact was geologist David Johnson, who died doing what he did best, which was geology. And his last words were heard over the radio saying, "Vancouver, Vancouver, this is it," when he tragically died, which serves as an example to people to heed the advice of professionals, even though he did do what he did best and what he loved. So some of my citations. I thank you all for listening to my presentation and hope you have a great rest of your day.